we also want to teach you that it's okay to not take yourself so seriously. It's okay to laugh at yourself. You don't have to be worried all the time. Be comfortable with who you are. It's a really cool thing. And so that's one of the reasons we do that as well. When we do those upfront games, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring up some friends and celebrate them. Make them the hero. Like, we want to welcome them with, like, everybody's cheering for them. So sometimes we might like to call up somebody who they don't get cheered a lot, right? They don't get their name called, right? We want to celebrate those friends. At no point are we doing games where they're the butt of the joke. Like, that would be the worst thing ever. Let's bring up some people. We're so glad you're here, and now we're all going to laugh at you. You suck. Ah. Instead, we're going to be the butt of the joke, and we're going to lift them up like they're champions. Like they're the heroes of the story. And you know why we want to do that? Because every person, I believe wholeheartedly, every one of you, every person that sets foot in Young Life Club, they have value. They have dignity. They're worth something. And it's not because of what they bring to the table. It's not because they're cool enough or because they can contribute something. It's because they were made in the image of God. And that gives value beyond anything else that we can say. And so we want people to experience that. We do announcements. You guys get announcements at your school? What are they like? What do they do at announcements at school?
Good morning, everybody. Games today. Chicken biscuits for sale.
What are you doing while they do it? Something else? Probably not listening.
I listen to it.
You do.
Oh, yeah, we do the pledge.
Do the pledge. We don't do the pledge. What do you do when announcements are on? Yeah. So here's the thing. We ain't just doing announcements because we're like, hey, we want to tell you about Young Life coming up next. Or like, hey, we're going to camp. We want to do announcements in a fun way so that you do know what's going on, but we also want to celebrate y'all. So the hope would be that some of the announcements we do are actually like highlighting really cool stuff going on at your school. Because our hope is that Young Life is all about cheering on your school. Like, we are for Rome, Model, Darlington High School. We want to be for y'all. And so, like, if there's a really big thing going on the same night as club, like, say there's a baseball state championship game. Somehow Rome made it to. Yeah, see, you're like, okay, we want to be there. We don't want to be like, oh, well, we're still going to have Young Life Club. We want to be where everybody else is. Because it's not about just us, it's about everybody in our school. Does that make sense? So we want to do those kind of announcements. The talk, why do we give the talk? Anybody know? What do we do with the talk? Corey's just like, the talk. What's the talk? Ansley, what's the talk about? It's about Jesus. That's right, it's about Jesus. So we're trying to tell our friends about Jesus, and everything that we're doing is to try to lead towards that space where it doesn't matter what your interest is. Like if you're all in and you go to church every Sunday, Wednesday, every day the door's open, you're there, or you never would darken the door of a church. Our hope is that at the end of Young Life Club, when we get up and we talk about Jesus, we're talking in a way that you'd want to listen, and we're talking in a way that you would lean in and go, I never knew that's who Jesus really was. And there might be some intrigue and want to know more. And then the last thing, post-club. Why would we do, like Joe, why would we dance at the end of club? To have fun, that's right. Why would we go to cookout after club? What do you think? To get lit. It's all about what? Why are we doing Young Life? All about fun and relationships. Well, relationships. Just like, let me get it right. Jesus. That's the answer. So, all of these things, I got a question for you. Do you have any thoughts about, like, if you've got a friend that comes to Young Life, but they don't like singing, what do we do about that?
You dance.
Do what?
You dance.
You dance. All right, if you don't want to sing, you dance. I'm just thinking about, are there things, y'all have never been to Young Life Club, so you probably can't chime in, but you can give me ideas. What would make you want to be at Young Life Club? Even if we're doing something you don't want to do.
The games.
Joe says the games. Corey, what makes you want to come back to Young Life Club? Even if we're doing something you're like, that's stupid, I'm not doing that. That's good. I like it. Yeah. That's good, man. Never a dull moment. Jackson, why do you keep coming, man? What keeps you coming back? Just people that go. I like it. Here's what I want y'all to know, all right? What we do on Monday nights, we want your help. We want you to be a part of this. We don't want to just entertain you. Because the reality is we can't entertain you. You can step out and you can open up your phone and you can watch something 1,000 times better than what we're going to do on Monday night. But if we can do something together that actually changes the way life feels at school, the way life feels every day when you wake up and roll out of bed, if we can do that together, then I want to do that. So I would love for you, however you want to be engaged with Young Life this year. If it's just bringing your friends, do it. But if you want to be a part of helping us make these games really fun and really funny, if you want to be a part of helping us pick out some songs with some music that will be things that you get excited about. If you want to look out for the people that are showing up on Monday nights, maybe you want to take a leadership role and going, I'm going to watch out for the people that when we're pairing up, I see the one. I see the one that doesn't have a partner. I'm going to run over to them. Where you begin to make it not about you, but about everybody else. If you want to do that, we would love to have your help. That's what that survey is all about. We'd love for you to fill out that QR code survey in a minute and just kind of dream with us. We also have some things at Freshman Club that if you would like to help us put them on, we'd love to have your help. Real quick, I'm going to try to throw these things out. Ian is going to be working on music for Monday Night Freshman Club. If anybody has a musical talent or you'd like to participate in those kind of things, feel free to reach out to Ian to talk about that. I don't know what leaders are actually going to be there on Monday night. What leaders are available on Monday night? Raise your hand if you're actually available. Ro is, Catherine is, y'all are as well. Sweet, everybody. All right, everybody that's here is available. All right, so do I have a leader who'd go, hey, I'd love to be kind of point person for the upfront game? Anybody like, hey, I would like to do that? I can assign it to you if you want. Oh, Cole's like, I got it. He's the man. All right, so Cole is going to be doing the upfront. If anybody's like, man, I'd love to be involved in that, we would love to have your help with that. What about a mixer? Anybody want to do a mixer? Be in charge of the mixer? Rose got the mixer. All right, so if you want to help us think about how can we pull in the freshmen and do something that they feel really excited about, Rose is going to be in charge of that. What about some crazy announcements? Ryan, are you going to be there on Monday? I think so, yeah. You want to do the announcements and find somebody to join? There we go. All right, so Ryan's going to be doing announcements. Anybody want, here's what I would say, the rest of the leaders, if you could help us think about how do we make, before Young Life Club starts on Monday, it feel like a party. There's stuff happening out there so when freshmen come, they're welcomed in. That we're thinking about how do we draw them in and make them feel like they're known. We're so glad they're here, that they're having fun out front, that they're having fun when they come in, that it would be a good time. Leaders do that. And if you guys want to be a part of that, we would love to have you be a part of that with us. All right. We might do that in a minute. We'll see. Here's what I want to do. All right. We're going to close out this time this way. Okay? I want to leave you with why this matters. I told you my story. I'm like a celebrity right now. I told you my story about how I got involved with Young Life. But I want y'all to hear the story of how Young Life started. And so some of our Young Life leaders are going to read that to you. And so I need you to lean in and try to pay attention for just a few minutes. They're going to read it with passion. But this is what we're trying to build. And I want you to know that you can be a part of it. In fact, I believe you were made to be a part of doing something big like this. So, Ro, are you kicking us off?
No.
All right, so Ro's going to kick us off. Yeah. Get excited about that.
All right, awesome. So we decided we'd have a prayer meeting, those two kids and me. In the past pastor's study that Sunday night, we started to pray for the club. The pastor met with us. He was pushing on me all the time. He didn't care if I did any work around the church. He just wanted to see those kids reach for Christ. He said, "Don't you monkey around with people who come to church. I'll take care of them." You go on down to that high school. Boy, now just think of that. I wonder what would happen if there were more pastors like that. That just said, boy, I'm not doing so badly with the people who are coming to church. The thing that's bothering me is all those people who don't come. Okay, sorry. The thing that's bothering me is all those people who don't come. Somebody go out and get them. That's what the church is all really about. You can't read the book of Acts. You can't read the New Testament. You can't read of the life and ministry of Jesus Christ without coming to the conclusion that that's what the church is here for, to go after others. And why it can sometimes be such a colossal flop because it's so ingrown. Nobody hears the message except those who have always heard it, and they're not going to do anything about it, so nothing happens. This guy just kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, and out I went. I don't even think the prayer meeting was my idea. We've had 12 kids at our club meeting the night those 2 kids came through for the Lord, and we decided to have this prayer meeting, and the next we had 23. And boy, we have another prayer meeting that wouldn't quit. The next week we had 32, and then we had another prayer meeting, and the school was really out then. The next night we met in the biggest home in the whole town, and we had 51. And right at the end of the meeting, one of the toughest kids in the senior class got up and said, "Wait a minute, I wanted to tell you that I accepted Jesus Christ," while Jim was talking. It was like a bomb dropped in the place. None of us had ever heard of anything like that. It was wonderful.
One or two others that had gotten waked up joined the prayer meeting the next Sunday night. And from 51 went up to 62, and from 62 to 75. We had 2 meetings of the 75 and kept praying. A beautiful little blonde girl, the school beauty queen, came to know the Savior and joined in the prayer meeting. She had never been in a prayer meeting in her whole life. We were praying around in a circle, taking turns, and she heard us praying for Burr Nichols, the captain of the football team. As soon as we raised our heads up from prayer, this little blonde girl piped up and said, "I'll get Burr." She was going out with him and said, "I'll bring him to the next meeting." And just like that, the prayer was answered fast. We started the next meeting, and that night I'll never forget. It was crowded in the hall where we were meeting. It was a big front hall, but 75 people are a lot of people for a hall. They were sitting on the floor, and I was crammed up against the front door. I kept looking for this blonde girl and Burr Nichols. They weren't there. We went through the songs, and it was time for my message. I stalled as long as I could, and just as I was getting up to speak, there came a clomp, clomp, clomp across the front porch. That door busted open behind me, and here was this little blonde beauty and Burr Nichols right behind her. She just pranced in and sat down in front of me. That was the only space on the whole floor, and there was Burr standing in front of that whole crowd. He turned around and sunk down beside her.
Well, I started in, and I was scared to death. I was just shaking in my boots. I gave the gospel the best I knew. Burr hadn't been at the beginning of the meeting. He hadn't heard any of the singing or anything, but something about it he likes. He came around afterwards and stuck out his big neck, shook my hand, and said, "Boy, Jim, I like that. I'm coming back next week." Next week, we started off with the same situation. A big crowd jammed up against the front door, but Burr Nichols wasn't there. I went all through and came to the message time again. I saw the little blonde girl in the audience and thought, uh-oh, they've had a divorce this week. Just as I started to speak, there came this awful clomp, clomp, clomp across the front porch. Burr opened the front door and came in like he owned the place. He walked past me and said, "Jim, I wouldn't have been so late, but I couldn't find some of these guys," and 4 teammates came trailing in behind him.
I found out that across the street from the high school, a group of elderly women had been meeting for 6 years, every Monday morning, getting down on their knees in the living room of dear old Mrs. Fraser's. They prayed every Monday morning for 6 years, long before I ever heard of Gainesville, Texas, for the high school kids across the street. I was there a year before I heard of that prayer meeting. I used to go over there with those 5 or 6 old ladies and get down on my knees with them after that club started to roll. That was the thing the Lord used to start it. Back in seminary, a group of kids going to school got interested in the club, and started to pray. They meet every Monday night and pray while I went to the club meeting in Gainesville. They get down on their knees and spend hours praying for that club meeting. It's no wonder we have a revival in that school.
That's how Young Life started. I didn't have in my mind to start anything, but the club went from 75 to 96, and then to 100, and then to 119 and 135. And the week before finals, there 170 kids there. Bert Nichols closed in with the Savior about the 5th night he ever heard the gospel. That fall, Burr went to Dallas to spot players for the announcer at one of their games. Riding back, they had a terrible accident and Burr was killed. His folks wanted me to preach the funeral. They said I was the only preacher Burr had ever listened to.
Burr grew up on the wrong side of the tracks and was regular roughing. All the Lord was waiting for was somebody to get a little bit interested in Burr, a little blonde beauty queen, and a little pipsqueak theological student. Burr was a precious soul for whom the Lord died. This country is full of people like that. There are thousands of people in this country that no Christian has ever said a kind word to. Most of the kids in this nation are like that. A few million more of them will graduate from high school this year. Just like Burr Nichols, they never had heard the story, and I can't stand that.
So that's how Young Life started. 1938, 39. That's why some of that language was so funny. A man named Jim Rayburn started Young Life in Gainesville, Texas. But if you heard there, he started because there were 6 women who started praying that God would do a work in high school. And then a year later, Jim showed up. And then he started praying with 12 people that came to club. And things began to happen because everybody began to be a part of it. It wasn't just Jim. And they started praying for the names of their friends. And as they prayed, the people that came knew those people. And then Burr shows up. And Burr meets Jesus by coming to this Young Life Club. And he brings some of his friends in. His life was lost, but at the same time, he had found what life was about. And he was never the same. Now, I would have ventured to guess that several of y'all are involved in church. And my guess is it's probably harder to get your friends to come to church than I hope it would be to get them to come to Young Life. But our desire is to get everybody to come to Young Life and to hear who Jesus is, so that then you might be able to bring them to your church. So that then they might find community and begin to find life in who Jesus is. We're not just doing this to have fun on Monday nights. We're doing it because every one of y'all and every one of the classmates that you walk alongside in your halls, they deserve to know where life is found. I'm putting this old picture up because I think it's a beautiful picture. They ran out of space to have Young Life Club in people's homes. They were meeting in people's homes. That's in a funeral parlor. It was the only place that they could find to have Young Life Club because so many people wanted to be there. I don't tell you that because I go, man, I hope we can have a Young Life Club that'll be so big that we can pat ourselves on the back and go, wow, look at what we did. I tell you that because I want life for you and your friends. I want every single one of you and your teammates and your classmates to know that they have life, that they matter, that they belong. And what I love about this picture is that they were meeting in a place where you usually go for the reasons of death. But life was being offered in that place. How sweet would it be if you and me, if on Monday nights we got together and we offered life where death is surrounding everyone. Where they're walking feeling like nobody can see them, that they don't matter, that their only worth is if they make a good hit on Friday night, if they get the grade on the AP exam, if they've got the right girl or guy on their arm, if they have enough money. What if we come alongside them and we go, no, you're worth it. You matter. I see you. I want to do that. And I want to do it with you. Guys, this is why I go to your football practices every day. It's why I go into the student section. Not because I like being the weird guy that's 44 years old bouncing around in the student section. In fact, I try to move from side to side because I don't want to mess up what y'all are doing. But I also want you to know that there's somebody who believes in you, who's for you. And I would love for you to come alongside me and invite your friends into that. I would love for you to know that that's why I'm there. And you can help me know, hey, that guy over there, he needs to know somebody cares about him. Hey, that girl over there is really struggling. What if we invited her to Young Life? That's what I want to do. And I hope you'll keep showing up, because here's the thing. It is funny that I show up in a student section. It's funny that these college kids show up in a student section. You know who has the loudest voice? You do. You're walking alongside your friends every day. If you call them by name, you see them, you can change the direction of their life. 30 years from now, they might be doing something telling people about where life is found because you called it name. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't even have to believe that Jesus is the answer. You can believe that people matter. And that's enough to step into this and watch what God does with that. It'll be really, really sweet. Y'all, thanks for coming tonight. We don't have a whole lot more on the agenda, but I do want to actually take a picture. I would love to do that. If you would gather up in front of the TV, here's why I want to do it. Because I'm praying right now that this is something that doesn't lead to a picture like that just so we can pat ourselves on the back, but it is something that starts a movement in Rome. So gather up over here. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not doing that. You want? All right, gather up. You can stand up. You can do whatever. Bunch in. Catherine's going to take our picture, so we're going to face that way. You do not need to do that. If you're real tall, you need to be in the back, which is not me. It's not me.
To me. Get in the front.
Bunch in.
Okay, go crazy.
So crazy.
Sorry, Cindy.
Okay, we've got these postcards Joel mentioned, and I've got everybody get find five freshmen to give these to and pass them out.
You don't know the freshman, just ask around. If you want a football team,
This is for Monday night. Thank you.
Do I just give these to freshmen?
Yeah, find a freshman and give it to him. Say, hey, come here guys Monday night.
Would I like bring them in the car? Bring them in like my car?
I mean, if they can't get a ride, maybe can you or your grandmother? Did your grandmother talk?
My mom takes.
See if your mom would pick them up.
I think the back seat only fits like 3 people.
Just tell them find a way there. If you can't find a ride, come call your Young Life leader and say, hey, can you help me get this person in the club?